So now we're going to move over to probably the smartest man in the room about BIM. No. Is it not? Is it not?
Richard, you've got, where's Rod?
Okay, one of the smartest men in the room about BIM, Machiel. And if you've ever been to Modena on a course or for training, or even in our classrooms, you probably met this guy. And I'd like to maybe introduce yourself so you can tell your story. And he's going to talk to you about what is BIM, but no, really, what is BIM? In much more detail than we covered yesterday. Yesterday was an overview, and he's going to fill the blanks. All right, thanks, Machiel.
Okay. Actually, it's the first time I'm actually presenting in a lecture hall for students. But teaching for years, and it's the first time really doing it. It's like so a little bit of history. I actually studied architecture at TUT, so the better university. I've been practicing for about, 11 years now. I still practice on the side. I've got my professional number, so I'm actually quite actively involved in doing what architects do. A few years ago, I started working at Modena as I was tired of clients in the industry. And then I kind of got it really stuck into technology, BIM, and kind of the future of where this is and the impact it can have on the industry. Naturally, other way, because it's a university, I felt like I should put a little bit of history into it. So BIM actually started in something like the 80s or 70s by Charles Eastman, kind of deemed the father of BIM. And that was more or less the time period when computers came to be. Not the personal computer, just computers. So he looked at it and he built one of the first, call it BIM systems back then, where you could have a wall, three-dimensional, and you could actually pull data off it. And that's where the core concept of BIM starts. And actually, that's what I'm going to delve into today. So it might sound a little bit of simplified in terms of what it actually BIM is supposed to do and what guys are talking about. But it's really the starting point of what is coming to follow by all the other speakers today, what you guys learned yesterday, and kind of what the future should understand and not forget. So there were some outcomes that he was talking about when you start bringing in 3D concepts, is improved communication and collaboration, accuracy and efficiency in design and construction processes, and reduced cost and improved quality of buildings. I mean, funny enough, this is topics we still discuss today, and this was back, 40 years now. Right, hasn't changed much. So, what the heck is BIM then? So, it was mentioned before and it's in the booklet, but I always like to make everyone aware of it. It's not about the building. BIM refers to all built assets across the spectrum, from the smallest element to the biggest component. And as a quick example, I was doing training this week actually with Saint-Gobain on how to do sustainability calculations with BIM files, doing carbon emissions. So it's BIM goes down to a product level. It's not about just the bigger picture of elements. So, but it is more than the models itself. Yes, it started off with the concept of models can solve a lot of these problems when Eastman kind of started with his research and processes. And as it evolved over the years, more and more people realized, yes, the model brings a lot of value and a big part of it, but it actually goes back to other elements of it. You need to look at the non-graphical data within your files, within your projects. And then on top of that, the ISO brings in documents. So it's actually kind of, we reverted back to the process of saying, build a fancy model, put all your data in there, and then give us more drawings as well. But that is the cohesiveness of what it is, because in reality is, you cannot put everything into a model. You can't put a whole life cycle assessment into one single entity. There's various other data forms that we do need to put together to give this cohesive plan, this cohesive environment we're working with. So let's dive a little bit into it. 3D makes the world go round, right? We sell it, we preach it, and we always feel that is the go-to thing. 3D movies is better than real life. But the reality is, that's just the starting point of what we need to do. Now, as we progress into learning how to develop these 3D models, you will read bumps everywhere you go, from point clouds to file conversions to different softwares. And that's where the biggest challenge comes with your 3D world, is this collaboration on the different file formats. Okay, so take that into consideration. It's not as simple as, yay, I've got a 3D model, and that's it. Then if we go look at non-graphical data, and honestly, this is the biggest discussion point when you talk about asset management, you talk about life cycle of design work and construction work. What is the metadata that you actually want in your building or in your file? This goes, it's a wide topic. But this is really the idea, is to be able to select an element within this 3D model and understand the metadata that's pulled from it. To understand its height, its width, its volume, its electrical performance, its airflow performance, all these items add to what the model should give us, this information should give us. And if you start designing with the right information up front, it reduces all the other stages afterwards, or makes it simpler and refining it more and more. So as an example, if we look at sustainability again, if you're in your early design stages, you will able to do a quick analysis of your building's performance on a sustainability level. Once you get detailed design, your building gets refined more with more accurate materials. Once you get to construction and you actually get the products that will be used for the building, it actually improves that sustainability analysis. So it's this continuous life cycle of how this metadata changes and informs the design at the end of the day. And then going back to drawings, okay? Now, this is for me a complementing the data set approach. It's not a document first approach, it's a document second approach when I talk about construction drawings. Okay, I think what makes the industry kind of the worst at this point in time is we spend so much time building this amazing 3D models, and then what do you take to the contractor? This big roll of drawings. So go build. It's like even worse than an IKEA instruction manual. But that is, for me, the biggest part is, and that's what we're trying to change, is to say, your building, yes, is priority. Metadata, yes, it's priority. But your documents, your drawings, how to assemble this building, and a lot of other information that you can't necessarily portray in a model or metadata need to be captured in some way. And it could be Excel spreadsheet, could be construction drawings, reports, whatever the case might be. That is the complementing set to fully complete this whole set of information. Hope it makes sense. Not too technical, eh? Now, this really forms the basis of kind of what everyone else is going to talk about. So when you start putting your graphical and non-graphical and even documents together, there are some other use cases that kind of gets enabled by this. And a lot of this we've done. I mean, I've done it when I studied 12 years ago. You know, we talk about visualization, renderings. Who has not done a rendering in this classroom? Yeah, see, no hands went up. Even the mechanical engineers are keeping their hands down. But that's the point, is like some of these elements we kind of take for granted and think we've not been BIMing, but in reality that's part of the process. It's benefits of doing this process. Even AR and VR as being newer technologies, being able to engage with these models in more live environments makes it really cool. Simulations, more on the engineering side, being able, and also sustainability, but being able to kind of run planning, cost management, program planning, all these other elements. It's really starting to talk about the benefits of adopting a good BIM practice, starting with the model and the data associated to it, and in analysis, and then ultimately leading into maintenance. You know, the big talk about ISO is why we want to start from day one with the right build-up of the right information. Basically, ultimately takes us to this asset management handover. And you guys heard the cost of it, the value of the building industry. It's really immense. Now, that's the biggest loss of finances for a lot of building owners. It's not in the 2 years of building this building. It's in the 25 to 50 to 100 years of managing that building. And that's where whatever we do today is actually helping in the future to reduce that information or that kind of cost and things like that. Now, as this kind of close off, there is more to come. I'm not going to talk more about it now, but whatever I've done spoke to now about was really to set the base of what you guys did yesterday to kind of what the guys will talk about later on today. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Thank you for your time.